Welcome back to the show. I am your co-host. I got it right that time, Lori. Dr. Christopher Taylor.
And I am Lori Vann.
Welcome to Crazy Simple, the show where we talk about crazy simple ideas for your everyday life. I think that's what we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what the memo said. So today we're going to talk about me and how my life is falling apart. It's tragic. Is that okay, Lori?
That works. That actually may segue back into the previous episode of the fear thing.
Yeah, it could. It could. One of my fears of dying alone. Yeah. Really, let me just, I got to tell you, my life is just falling apart right now. It's tragic. So I am sick. I have some respiratory virus that's attacking me. So my body is trying to eat itself from the inside right now. I have a terrible headache from all the coughing. I've been like coughing like nonstop, and my head is like there's like I swear there's blood just like oozing around in there from all the like coughing. My house is leaking. Like my actual house has a slab leak in the middle of the house. So like they're absolutely going to have to drill the slab. So that's going to happen. So they're going to cut a hole. So these guys are going to come to my house with giant tools and cut a hole in my floor.
Wow.
Or they're going to drill underneath my house, like from Hogan's Heroes, and a guy's going to
Uh-huh.
crawl under this hole and get into my house to fix this pipe. This is ridiculous. Okay, so that, and I'm sick, and I sprained my ankle over the weekend camping with my daughter, and I'm in an Airbnb, and as a highly sensitive person, in an Airbnb is like so you go camping, like, which is just terrible for HSPs because stuff is everywhere and you just have no sense of like calm. And then like to come back to my 4-year-old's birthday party where I'm in like full costume, and then to find the slab leak, and then to become sick, and then to be in the house that's not mine. So yeah, that's my life right now.
Yeah. That's a lot, and not quite sure. Who you must have ticked off, but apparently there is a Dr. Taylor voodoo doll somewhere, um, and they are just going at it. So there's I don't know what you need to do to like cleanse and pray and like have that spirit lifted because man, that stinks.
It does, and somebody definitely does. There is a voodoo doll me out there somewhere. Somebody has it. Somebody has made this. I would appreciate it if you would stop with the voodoo doll. That would be nice. So if you know this person, or like I have wronged you in some way, I am sorry. And please, like, let me know what we need to do to get this sorted. Yeah, so I can't take it anymore. So, what's your advice for me, Lori? You're a therapist. Come on, give me some good life advice here.
Well, one, it's realizing some things really are this perfect storm that if someone listening to this right now, if they go, I can completely relate. It's been one cluster after another, that you're not alone because sometimes life just happens like that. Sometimes life just stinks. It does. And it's almost like one negative event attracts another negative event. So, not alone in that part, too. At some point, it does get better. Um, it's keeping that hope that, this too shall pass. And then the third, it's always looking at, so what's actually in your control? Because
Mm,
it's real easy to get caught up in the what if of like, well, what else can happen? And well, what if this then happens? And that's just going to feed the stress and anxiety. So I always encourage people, it's like, so let's go short term, really immediate, present. What's actually in your control? What can you actually decide to do, whether that's on a healthy behavior of, what, I just need to step away and just, breathe for a little bit and just go outside and just have a moment, and then I will come back and reevaluate the situation. Sometimes that's like all you've got. And then it's remembering there's help out there. Like, you don't have to do it all on your own. There's a lot of resources available. So those would be sort of the beginning pieces, but definitely focusing on your health, because if you don't have your health, then you're not going to be able to make good decisions.
That's true. Yeah, that's the flight attendants, right? That's what they always say. Put your oxygen mask on first before you help the person next to you, even if they're a child or your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're like, not happy with your spouse at the moment, you are kind of okay with them getting sucked out of the airplane, because you've all felt like that. Everybody's felt like that. That's okay. Um, so yeah, those are all good points. I love this one of control, of like, what can I control? Because I don't really have control over any of these things. I think I could have maybe done a better job of preparation in some areas. Probably had more vitamin C. I don't know. Eat more oranges. I thought I got a flu shot, but maybe I didn't. I can't remember. I can keep track of that. So I don't know. I also read this book called "The Body Keeps Score." You ever read this book?
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting stuff. It talks about like what our bodies produce, from the stress and like the food and the things that we take in. It's just really fascinating, kind of like where we put stuff in our body. Like does your back start hurting like in the same place? When you just had like a big fight with somebody, that kind of stuff. It's very, very interesting book. So we'll put that in the show notes. But I think really like control here is the big thing, because like I don't have control over a slab leak. Like that just happens. I even asked the guy who came out with his fancy tools to like tell me exactly where it was leaking. It's a really fascinating thing. He has like the stethoscope and he's like listening to your pipes. It's like really,
Huh.
really cool. And he's like, hey, so let me tell you about your pipes. And like he gives me all this information about how our pipes are set up without ever like looking at them. So it's pretty cool. Like I didn't know if we had copper pipes or not. And he's like, so you have copper pipes. I was like, oh, that's cool. He can just do all this through sound. So it was like really fascinating. Definitely not something I want to do as a career, but I thought like that's cool. I'm glad that you found your place. And it was really interesting, because I asked him, I was like, did we do something wrong? Like, did we run the hot water too much? Do we like, did somebody do something? Did we shove something down the wrong drain? Kind of like when you're drinking water too fast and it goes down the air pipe. Like, did we do that? Like what did we do? And he's like, nothing, man. He's like, you can have the world's perfect house, the best house ever, made by the best contractors. He's like, and one day you'll just get a leaky pipe. It just happens. There's no way to
Mm-hmm.
stop it. It just happens. So I was like, okay, so it just happens. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing I could do to prepare for that. Nothing I could do to avoid it. There's no real like way that you can, in buying the house, make sure that the pipes aren't leaking. And I guess just kind of like the same way that you can't control getting sick, especially when you have young kids. I mean, like young kids are just big bags of germs that go around hugging everything. Like
Yeah.
they eat food off the floor and then they just go and hug people. They're gross. They're so gross. So I've never been more sick in my life than over like the past 4 or 5 years, and I like hate being sick, you know. But I love that advice because it's like I can't control this stuff. Like I'm not gonna like quarantine myself away from my children just because I don't want to get sick. Like that's not realistic. That's not gonna happen. There's nothing I can do to stop a leaky pipe. And there's nothing I can do about this Airbnb right now. It's a very lovely Airbnb. Somebody else's house. I'm like living it.
Well, and it brings up the point that sometimes people get into the woulda, shoulda, couldas, because when bad stuff happens, we instantly go to, there's something I had to have done wrong. There's something that I should have done. And with things like with a home, it stuff happens. I mean, living in Texas, foundation problems are part of the mix, and
Hmm.
pipes bust, and we have bad winters, and there's just all sorts of things that are really out of our control. Even if you have one of those homes that the slab's not actually on the ground, that it's elevated, like you see along the coastline, mostly for hurricanes in that sense. But stuff happens. Homes get old, and you can
Hmm.
do all the preventative stuff that you want, but at the end of the day, it's like things happen, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you necessarily attracted it into. I mean, yeah, you do maybe need to evaluate some decisions you make if there's some things you can really personally draw to, like in relationships. But it's, yeah, it taking a little bit of pressure off oneself to automatically assume that everything bad that happens, I had to have done something to put that into place.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, we definitely want to make sure, we are examining our choices. Did I make a choice that led to something for sure? And how those choices are lining up with our values, and if we're making the types of choices that we want to make as a person. Part of the byproduct of choice is consequence. So it's either a good thing or a bad thing or a neutral thing in some cases. But I made a choice, and now I get to live with that. What I'm doing right now is really just kind of two things. One, just evaluating my sense of gratitude, my system for gratitude. Like, what am I grateful for right now in my life? Obviously, I'm grateful that I have some insurance that is going to pay for the repairs, and obviously pays for our stay here in this Airbnb or wherever we go next, because I don't think we're going to stay here very long. We might just become nomads. That could be fun. Like that one show, I don't remember what it was, but it was like the bald guy, um, and he had his kids, and they lived in an RV, and they like traveled around to see the country. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, it was like a '90s show. It's like probably came on after like Touched by an Angel or something. Anyway, so just being grateful, and then I listened to this speech by Jim Carrey. It's an older speech. I think it's like 2014, but he talks about a couple things, but one really kind of hit really strong is that life doesn't happen to you; it happens for you. And I just thought that was really cool, because I'm like, it's not about me, right? This is not personal. Like the house isn't angry with me, you know. It's not about me, Uh, the universe isn't angry with me. Like, there's probably not anybody out there with a Dr. Taylor voodoo doll. Although there most likely is. There definitely is. But it's probably not about me, right? It's this thing like life isn't happening to me. It's happening for me, so that I get to discover new ways to bond with my family, new ways to have experiences together and build memories. And I hope that this will be a fun memory that we'll look back on and go, yeah, remember when we had that slab leak and we got to go live in that house, and then we had all this fun, and I was dying of some respiratory virus. But it's just that, and I don't know, that kind of leaves me feeling positive, feeling like I have hope and joy in my life. And so I think in those ways, I feel good.
Yeah, because it is all in how you frame it, and very much that quote. It's, do you want to perceive it as it's happening to you or for you? That mindset makes all the difference in the world. It's the difference between people that become survivors and thrivers and have that
Mm-hmm.
resiliency, or those that stay stuck in what we would say go into that victim mindset and the woe is me, which only feeds anxiety and depression and hopelessness and helplessness, and nothing good comes from it. So I mean, I've heard different, quotes on the resiliency. There's, in the military, it's embrace the suck. um, the only easy day was yesterday kind of philosophy, and that
Mm-hmm.
it's really, it just, enjoying that journey, like just see it as this is a journey and you get to decide its impact on you. Is it going to make you better and stronger and wiser? Or are you going to give it the control and allow it to take you out?
Yeah. As crazy simple as it might sound, life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. Thanks, Jim Carrey. We'll try to get him on the show. No, there's no way we would ever get Jim Carrey on the show. Like, that's ridiculous. But we'll put it out in the universe. Jim Carrey, if you want to come on, man, and we'll have you anytime, anywhere. So with that, I am your co-host, Dr. Christopher Taylor.
And I am Lori Vann.
And we'll see you next time.